Thrice the brinded cat hath mewed, thrice and once the hedge pig whined. Harpy cries, "'Tis time, 'tis time!" Round about the cauldron go, in poisoned entrails throw, Tother under cold stone, days and nights of 31, swelter venom sleeping got, boil thou first at the charm pot. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. We are gathered here today, witch friends, to take over the master enchanter, Snock. How are we meant to defeat Snock? He is all-powerful. We don't stand a chance. Worry not, my dear friends, for I have made contact with a demon who shall be able to help us with our quest. You can't mean Balthazar. He'll eat us alive. Worry not, Mildred, for I have Balthazar in my pocket. He hates Snock as much as I do. As we do. Therefore he will help us on our quest. Maud, saying that the demon will help us is one thing, but how are we meant to find him? Well, dear Enid, he is not hard to find at all, for we just need to prepare a summoning ritual and he will appear. Now, my witch sisters, this ritual should summon the demon Balthazar to help us with our quest to defeat Snock. Oh dear, he seems to not be very friendly. Welcome, Lord Balthazar. We can see you are very angry at Snock. So are we. Why have you summoned me, witches? You know I have better things to do than do errands for you. Please, Lord Balthazar, we need your help. Snock is trying to take over the world and we need to stop her. Fine, but just this once, and only because I want Snock to perish just as much as you do. Thank you, mighty Lord Balthazar. We couldn't do this without your help. Do you at least know where Snock resides so that we can travel there thusly and end her miserable life? Of course. We've been retconning it for days. She lives in the autumn woods where the thaumaturges reside. Perfect. I hate thaumaturges. They make too much taint and such a mess. We will head there at once. Lead the way. Yes, Master Balthazar, anything for you. Here it is, Lord Balthazar, the house of Snock. What a miserable little place this is. No place for an evil witch. Are you sure she lives here? Oh, we are certain, Lord Balthazar. Look, she has even left the door open for us. What a fool. How could you possibly need me to defeat her when she's as stupid as that? Alas, I am here anyway. I might as well help you on your quest. Let's infiltrate now before she realizes we are here, Lord Balthazar. You fools, you fools! Snock is a cat, not a girl. Oh, my lord, we are so sorry, but we cannot kill this cat, Snock or not. We were tricked. How could you mistake an impressive sorceress with a cat? Aren't you meant to be smart, witches? At least you should know about familiars and cats. We are so sorry, my lord, for we didn't know anything about this. Please, please, leave us alone. Let the cat live in peace. We are witches and therefore love cats, and we can't abide the harm of any cat on our watch. Oh, it is not the cat who should be worried, but you. Die, stupid witches, wasting my time. I shall be leaving now. Goodbye, silly cat, and avoid witches in the future. The plan worked. I tricked the witches into thinking I was merely a cat using my transmutation potion. They are so stupid, and I won't have to ever worry about them again, thanks to Balthazar. Happy Halloween and welcome to MeatballCraft episode 22. I know it's not quite Halloween yet, but this fits best with my upload schedule. Today we've got lots to be getting on with, including the first Mythic Shell Miner liquid formation and any other things, so let's get started. Now we're back from Vibe, we can start working on the different apps for this, which I think is a good first step, and also these 3 multi-blocks. We are going to end up repurposing some of the rooms because I'm pretty sure this Bloodmaster Crucible is only used to make, it makes mildly recursive glue. No, we don't need that either. So yeah, we definitely don't need that. We are going to get rid of this, and we are going to get rid of this up here because we don't need it. And I'm sure there's actually one more. Is it this one? Is this the one that makes, yeah, this just makes liquid void, which you also do need. So these 3 machines are going to get replaced with 3 more machines, which, maybe not this. Yeah, not this one. This one gets its own special room. But these 3 will be going into these rooms, and they will be recolored. I interrupt this montage with an announcement. I am wrong. So for some of these, I thought that we needed the thaumic replicator. For example, spicy pyrotheum has a recipe in the thaumic replicator. However, that is not the recipe we should be using at the moment. We should be using this recipe instead. So I think for all the ones that need the thaumic imbuer, that's for later on. I have, however, made little room with every recipe for every thaumic imbuer so that we can have one for each, and there are 18 in fact. This is under the Mythical Miners. All are used in Mythical Miners, so we've got astral water, ghostly matter, vibrating matter. If I just choose one at random, oh, this one's used in the Mythic Assembler to make gems, so I'm sure we'll use all of these fluids, so it's good to have a space set up for them. However, we do not need to make them now. There are alternative methods, and I don't know why I didn't figure it out before. We now have our sterilized sacrificial altar. I have the recipes for the tar things and the white heart, so we should just be able to shove it in. Yep. Oh, it's actually really fast. I do have a pearl block in the middle thanks to our deep mob learning, so that has sped up. I think it's 6 times. 10 times faster actually, so perfect. And that was only a block of pearls, which is actually fairly cheap and definitely well worth it. So once we have that, we need to make the different caps, and then once we have all the caps, then I will make the fluids. Not all of them are that difficult. Spicy pyrotheum will be nice and easy. Aerial moonshine, a bit trickier. Dragon's blood plastic is fine, just a bit expensive, but we don't need that much. Living gold is very annoying. Weakened cryotheum is also fairly annoying, and luminous lava is probably not too bad. So we'll figure them out. These ones will be the worst. I can't remember. I think that's for Creeponia and Barathos, and we can set them up. We don't really need them running constantly at the moment. Oh, that would be nice to have. That would be very nice to have, actually. I really need that for the Spatial Crucible. So as long as we can get it running a bit. We need to get the spatial matter set up for this. We've already got this set up. Well, we can get this set up very easily. I've already got the stuff for it, and then I just need to melt the UU matter. I have set up some liquid UU matter production. I've just repurposed the mythical resource crucible since we don't need it for the dimensional essence anymore. Half of the UU production goes into this chest now, and half into the ME system, so we have both UU and the liquid version. I have just chucked a few in just to speed up the process a bit, and this gets processed. There's a bit of a buffer in this drum, and it should go into here. So now we have a bit of liquid UU matter going. I've set up the spatial crucible. All the inputs, all the inputs are underneath, because why would it be easy? So I've got deep blue matter limited item filter into here. I think I'm going to probably put in the divine stars manually for now, just because I think we don't have that many, so I don't want to just destroy our supply by constantly feeding this. I think we have 99, so I've took 24. So if I shove them in here, for example, it should run. Yep, there it goes, it's running. And it doesn't have that much UV matter at the moment. So I think it only needs 300 though. So by doing this, it should produce, yep, there it is, this fluid, which I have completely forgotten the name of. Spatial matter. So we'll get 12,000 spatial matter per. So we've got a bit of a buffer, which will probably fill up fairly quickly. So I think it only takes 50 per run of the miner. So that should keep us well supplied for quite a while, actually. So yeah, that's one universal fluid sorted out for all the miners, which is very good. So that will backlog a little bit while we do other things. I've put a little framed trapdoor at the back here just so it's a little less obvious where the access port is. I've hit a small snag with the caps, and that is with the Barathos one, for we need Dreadlands gems. And to get the Dreadlands gems, we need to make a sterilized sacrificial altar. Not only do we need to make that, but we need to make liquid PE, which requires the PE sterilizer, which requires all the evil statues. Oh, I can just make them. Okay, that's fine. Oh wait, we've already got this. I don't know why my brain doesn't work. Right, we've got that, so we just need to make a PE sterilizer, which shouldn't be too hard. It's just a 7x7, like so. Apart from it needs a containment stone. I might as well make the Omathol one, which requires more crafting. Woohoo! I appear to be having a little bit of an issue with the PE sterilizer. Blue hearts are meant to get us 10,000 liquid PE. I've got blue hearts going in, but it's saying it's missing the input item. This has more than 10,000 output, so that's not the problem. But it just doesn't seem to be recognizing the blue hearts. I don't think I'm making green hearts. I can switch over one of my, no green hearts. I can switch over one of the data models in here, but it is a big kind of loss, to be honest. I think one of the Ender Dragon ones is making Elytra. Which one is it? This one. Let me just turn this off and switch it to green hearts. But it is a little bit annoying because obviously the blue heart recipe is much better. So we only get one green heart per loot. So let's see if the green hearts work. I would have put this on earlier. I realized it didn't work. So if we go back over here and I chuck in a green heart, are you going to work now? Sing input item. Oh no, it's taking the green heart. Okay, so I'll take a green heart, but it won't take... Oh, I'm going to try something. Right, I know what the problem was. The Oberthal Containment Stone, increases output by 5. So therefore, if you use the blue hearts, you don't get 10,000 PE, you get 50,000 PE. So we needed to upgrade to the vacuum fluid output for it to actually work. That's why it wasn't working. And I just didn't realize because of this. So now we're making tons of PE, more than we'll probably ever need, very easily. So I can change the thing back to Elytra, though I don't know if I'll need to. I've also found one more snag. I think it's our final snag, and that's for the Creeponia cap, and that is that we need tier 4 shards from wood. We've only got a tier 1 wood farm, I think, which is made of some tier 2 shards. So now we need to make a tier 3 or 4 boot farm. Probably might as well make a tier 4 boot farm. I don't know what will spawn. Maybe the wither or something. Unless we just need to make the farm and then it's fine. But yes, we need to upgrade this, which is kind of very irritating because it's very big. I've made everything to make a tier 4 boot farm. I'm only going to spawn with the skeletons at the moment because it doesn't require any inputs. I'm sure there'll be some mobs that we will want to actually use the boot farm for, but right now I just need the tier 4 shard, so anything will do. I also can't make the loot upgrades because we don't have a rabbit's foot. I just haven't killed enough rabbits. I'm sure if I went downstairs in the blood magic area, we'd probably quite easily get a rabbit's foot, but I'm just leaving it for now. It's got rate upgrades and all sorts, so I'm sure it'll be fine. So the boot farm is up and running. It's going fine. It's not too slow. I mean, the basic power cell is probably holding it back because it's very small, but it's fine. So, oh, it's weird. So hopefully we'll get what we need. I'm just going to leave it running for a while until we get the shards. We should get them. It says, 5% chance, so we'll just leave it running while I do some of the other caps. The Abyssal caps, the Lelyetian caps, the Procasian caps, the Barathus cap, the Creeponia cap, and finally the Deeplands cap. And now we have 6 completed miners all being filled with spatial matter. Now, final step time for most of them, and that is to make the final 6 liquids, however more difficult this may be, or however easy. So let's get on with that. I have set up spicy pyrotheum over here using this blazing pyrotheum setup. I put it into an alchemical imbue along with chilies, which we are getting from the nether mythical void miner, which is in this ender chest, and that will go into an ender tank. To make the aerial moonshine, we're going to have to do lots of different steps. So it all starts off with the centrifugal separator, which will be input from the top like so with apples, as they have EMC, so they are the easiest for me. So that means apples will go into here. I will upgrade all these machines. Apples will make apple juice like so, which we then need to turn into cider using an alchemical imbuer. So input on there. We'll also do an input on the top. I will get another EMC link, and this one will have yeast. Well, it will have yeast if I can ever actually get it into the thing. There we go, yeast. So yeast will go into here. Perfect. So after we have cidered it, we need to put it into 3 different fractionating cells. 1 to make apple brandy, 1 to make apple liqueur, and 1 to make neutral spirit. So we'll put 3 fractionating stills like so. For the other half of the process, we need zephirated aerotheum, and to get that, we have blizz rods and niter being extracted from our storage, and redstone from an EMC link. The blitz rods get pulverized, and extracted into here. We may have a problem with a niter buildup, so I'm going to put an extra drawer here as well, just to keep that stored. Then it gets crafted into aerotheum dust, it goes into the magma crucible, and it goes into a chemical reactor with the neutral spirit from the apples and turns into aerial moonshine and water. Aerial moonshine will keep, the water we will dispose of into a fluid tank. This aerial moonshine allows us to run the Lexx Mythical Void Resource Miner. The only problem with running these miners is it does take a fair bit of power, so we'll need to check on that. I have upgraded the turbines once again to cope with that. I think the Abyss one takes 85,000, so this is still doing fine. We are, whoops, a little bit of lag. We are now 3 large reactors with 32 ludicrite blocks in. I'm trying to upgrade this one, and these ones can all go about 5 blocks higher, so we'll do that when we need to. For molten dragon blood plastic, I'm just using this reserve I have here, which I get from a villager. It gets turned into plastic by the sawmill, it gets turned into dragon's blood plastic by the magma crucible, and it goes into an ender tank. We need so little, I'm sure the system will actually keep up once the backlog has built up. Though if it doesn't, then I will have to figure something else out. I don't know why this is turned off. Luminous lava also had a fairly easy setup. We have crystallized obsidian, which I've just made a bunch of. It's not automated yet, and that goes into a melter. Each one gives me about 1,000 millibuckets, so that's quite a lot. The other side we have lumium being made, which is just being extracted from this ender chest. These liquids go into the chemical reactor, mixed together to make seared stone and luminous lava. The seared stone gets trashed and the luminous lava goes into an ender tank, which is connected to the Deeplands void miner up there. Again, we only need 50 millibuckets per operation. This makes a fair amount, I think it's 400 millibuckets per 500 crystallized obsidian, so that's 8 runs. With this 2,000 crystallized obsidian I've made after the backlog of filling up the mythical miner has done, will last us quite a while, I think. So that'll be quite easy to set up, and then eventually we will be able to make this with the Thormic replicator, which would not require which requires a crystallized obsidian still, but it makes way more. So that's like 1 crystallized obsidian for 16,000 millibuckets, which is much better. But for now, this system will do, and we just need to get the Deeplands garnets. And once we have this, it's a recursive process. Our last 2 fluids are a little bit more tricky. Both of them originate from the eutectic NaK alloy, which is a mix of sodium and potassium. This is done in the salt mixer with molten sodium and molten potassium. The molten sodium we can get through electrolyzing salt water or brine. So I'm not quite sure how we get either of these in this pack. I think we need to enrich water with salt to get salt water, and to get the molten potassium we need to electrolyze the molten potassium hydroxide, which comes from melting potassium hydroxide, which comes from potassium hydroxide solution, which is a mix of potassium hydroxide and water. Okay, no, it must come from this one, which comes from potassium fluoride in a chemical reactor. And to get potassium fluoride, it is crushed carbonate in a manufactory, which comes from rock crushing diorite. So I think we do actually have that. I think we've got, this is a rock crushing system. We are crushing, there we go, crushed carbonate. So we are actually passiving this, and we have for each. So it's just a game of building the correct machines. To begin the process for the last 2 liquids, I have set up the eutectic NaK alloy system, and it comes in 2 halves. The simpler half is the sodium half. We are using salt to make salt water, which then goes into an electrolyzer, and it produces molten sodium, chlorine, and mineral water. I don't really know what the mineral water does, but I thought it'd be best just to keep a buffer of it. If these get too full, I will switch them out for black hole tanks, but I thought they'd do for now, and that goes into the salt mixer. The other half is the molten potassium, which is a bit more complicated of a system. We take out the crushed carbonate from storage, and it goes into a manufactory to make potassium fluoride. The potassium fluoride gets enriched with water to make potassium fluoride solution. That then goes into a chemical reactor, where it is reacted with more water to make potassium hydroxide solution and hydrofluoric acid, which I'm buffering here. We then take the potassium hydroxide solution and turn it into potassium hydroxide in a crystallizer. That then gets melted in a melter, and then we electrolyze the molten potassium hydroxide to make oxygen, water, and molten potassium. I am voiding the water and the oxygen just because it was easier, and we already have an oxygen system, so we don't need it as an output from this one. And then the molten potassium gets buffered and put into the salt mixer, which then produces the NaK alloy, which goes into this ender tank to be used into the two separate processes that makes both living gold and weakened cryotheum. Welcome to my very scuffed system for making living gold, which I nearly crashed the game by doing. So this is the system. We have 7 formation planes underneath and 7 annihilation planes on the top, and that's because I thought if I had 8 I wouldn't have enough channels. So I'm not sure if this counts as taking a channel or not, maybe not. And it takes, the bottom and the top half are definitely not connected. I think that was my mistake. The gold gets taken from this drawer and placed by the formation plane, and then it is broken by the annihilation plane once it becomes living gold, as there is only one input, and that's this living gold storage drawer. I did have a setup with an ME controller where this was on a storage bus and this was on an import bus, but for some reason, even though it was an import bus, and I assume that would mean you can't insert into it, because that's what export buses does, it just constantly placed and broke the gold all at once, and it would lag, and it nearly crashed the game, I think. So I'm not quite sure why it did that, but this system works. It will just passive living gold for us. I don't think we need exuberant amounts. I don't think we need it that fast at the moment, so as long as we let this run, we should be fine. Here we have our living gold NaK solution set up. I put it here just chunk aligned around the base because it is temporary. There is the chunk. Industrial and immersive engineering should never be over a chunk boundary. And it's a very simple system. We have gold being melted in a melter, mixed with our eutectic NaK alloy in a salt mixer, put into an immersive engineering mixer, which I couldn't avoid. It was the only recipe that was available for this. And until we get this is the only way to do it. This gets mixed with the living gold that we just set up the automation for from this ender chest, and it gets all put in to here, mixed and output to this ender tank. It's a little slow, but again, only 15 millibuckets per operation, so I think I'll do. Oh, and that looks cool. It's actually doing a little cool animation, so that's fun. So now we only have 1 fluid left to automate. Again, yes, this is going to be moved. This is very, very temporary and ugly. And I've now set up our final system for weakened cryotheum. This one, again, is very, very simple. We have a pulverizer pulverizing blizz rods, which you get from an ender chest. This goes into a crafter with redstone and snowballs, which come from EMC links. These then get put into a magma crucible and melted into gelid cryotheum. This goes into a salt mixer with the eutectic NaK alloy to make eutectic NaK cryotheum mixture. This is put in a fractionating still and made into weakened cryotheum, which then goes into an ender tank. I'm also voiding the snowballs this produces, and this produces just because we don't need them. But apart from that, it's a very easy system. And now we have all the liquids for all the mythical void miners automated. Again, they're not automated in the best way, but it will be better eventually. We have a bit of a bottleneck with this system. The electrolyzer is very slow, but again, the amount we use per mythical void miner is very little, so I don't feel the need to increase the system particularly, especially when, you know, soon we'll be able to greatly increase the output of all of these liquids. I've just been looking through the recipes of the ME Mythic Assembler, as that was one of the things I wanted to craft, and I've actually got no idea why I wanted to craft it. It's been a little while since I thought about making it. I was going to make it like a few days, and honestly I've got absolutely no idea why, unless it was because I thought this was the only way to get some of the gems. It must have been that, because I've genuinely not the foggiest why I would actually need this at this point. We make all the gems that we need from the mythical void miners, so I think it must have just been because I wasn't looking at the recipes correctly. Even with all of the miners running, we still have an influx of 120,000-ish RF per tick. We're actually getting a line on the energy storage from how much we've stored, so that's good, and that's because I have been upgrading the turbines a little bit more. So we have one that's max sized. I haven't checked on it for a little bit, but it is producing 280 kilo RF per tick and is around a good 200 RPM and perfectly efficient. So I think we'll do this for the other 3 as well when I get enough ludicrate and enchanted gravitite. I might also make another 2, if not 4 max. Well, these aren't max size, but max size for this room. I know it will probably look a little more messy with 4 more in here, but I think it would be good for the power. Alternatively, for power, we could get into these solar panels, which are here in the quest book. Oh no, that's a lightning controller. Maybe we can do that as well, but we should be able to get into the solar panels from environmental tech a bit easier now. Now we have some more resource miners set up. I have set up the token totem. That's just because the tokens don't do anything else, so I might as well use them for power. And we get so many, I don't think it's going to dry out the system before it actually produces loads of energy. This makes 500,000 RF a tick, which isn't too bad, to be honest, because, I mean, these are basically free, all these, so that's nice. I can put some of these back in now. These are just coming from the resource miners. I've just set up limited item filters, so it just stocks a stack of these. If we start really running low on them and I feel like I should save them for later for energy, then I will, but I think really it's just free energy at this point. That makes 500,000 RF per tick, which is, you know, pretty substantial. And now we are making 700,000 RF per tick, so that's actually boosted the power. That's like doubled it just on its own, so I think it was worth setting up. It's really cheap to make, really easy to set up when you've got the void miners. I think before number 12, it was not very good. Yeah, so we're at 12 here, so we make 500,000 RF per tick. As soon as we get 13, 800,000, it goes up really high from there until you get to the final ones. But I think by the time we get here, I don't see why we'd need a big backlog of all the other ones. It depends on how fast this runs through. I think it runs for about 40 seconds each, so it might be a little bit too fast considering our generation, but I think making 500,000 RF per tick is pretty nice. We can always turn that off if we decide. We have two options of what we can do next. One of them is to progress with the quests and make the fusion core reactor thing, or alternatively, we can go the Tree of Life route. Now, the Tree of Life has a few uses, including making bee crystals, which is not really something we need that much at the moment, but it is possible. But it does have one pretty interesting recipe, and that is if you use the energy egg, you can produce 1 million RF per tick for a fair amount of time with just one energy egg. And to get the energy egg, you need to use the energy chicken coalstone, which just takes 4 bubble banners and a spinal ring, which we can make very, very easily. So I'm very tempted to do that. Now, this is the Tree of Life. It's very, very, very large. I think it looks pretty cool, and it's not actually that hard to make. The most confusing things are Lifebringer leaves, which have EMC anyway, Sacred Eucalyptus, and the Innerved Skystone. Oh, and also this. So to get the Lifebringer leaves, it's just leaves and a pure daisy, easy. Sacred Eucalyptus is some herba and some eucalyptus wood in an arcane auto-infuser, easy. The Stone of Aura looks complicated, but these are just singularities of different V crystals, which we can very easily do. I think, yeah, 4,000, that's easy. We only need one of them. And the hardest bit is the Innerved Skystone, which is done like this, and you get 12 per craft, and we need 152, so about 13 crafts. And that is, and the only hard part of this is the Panacea and the Thormic Citrus. And to get the Panacea, that's just a crucible recipe. We could also try and get the Ayarako matters from a loot fabricator. So, I mean, that's easy enough. And the only hard thing is the Thormic Citrus, which requires lots of different fruit from Binny's extra trees. But apart from that, it all seems pretty doable. So I think I might just have a bit of fun with that. I want energy infrastructure to be solid before we move on to other things, and this looks kind of fun to do. So I'm going to make the energy coalstone. I'm going to see how hard it is to get all these different trees. I think it should be fairly easy. And yeah, let's give this a go. I've made the coalstone. I'm not entirely sure if we can use it in this dimension, so we'll just give it a go on this little island. Sedna. Okay, I'm back on Sedna with my coalstone. I'm going to ignore the dirt. That's from the quarry. I thought I'd offset it enough, but evidently not. Okay, so this is the energy chicken coalstone. So what do we get? We get some roosts. Lovely. There is a temporal queen and an industrial hive. Nice. And there's the energy chicken, which we can then put in a mechanized coop. And oh, it gets me 16 energy eggs at a time, which will make us many G's of RF. So wow, that just sounds like good to me. I've set up a botanic void miner because we need apple oak, and apparently the only way to get it is through the void miner. I thought I could just graft off some normal oak saplings and it would make it, but apparently not, so we're gonna have to wait. Oh dear, it gets you a lot of rubbish, doesn't it? I assume one of these leaves will be apple oak. But who knows? Maybe this will actually just give us the leaves of the things we actually want, which would be nice. Maybe I shouldn't have put it in a dank. Maybe I should have put it in a normal crate. I wasn't quite sure how much we'd get from this, but apparently it's quite a lot. Oh my gosh, 109 pages of rubbish. That's quite a lot. Goodness me. I don't think we have anything big enough to store all of this. I had to make a wireless charger for the industrial grafter because nothing would charge it, not an infuser or a wired charger. It had to just be the wireless one. I don't know why, but it's a bit irritating. Apparently I can just put a normal oak sapling in the portable analyzer, which is much easier, but I'm very silly for not figuring it out before. Trees are way easier to breed than bees. All you have to do is grow them and graft them and then collect some pollen off them. A lot of bone mealing, fertilizing later, we finally have enough of each fruit to be able to make all of the thormic citrus that we could possibly need for now. This is actually a very, very fast recipe, which is good. So now we are one step closer to what we need. This is not going to be too bad. It is 13 crafts, so we better keep going. I've just set up the mechanized coop while I was waiting for the panacea to be made, and we've already got 80 energy eggs. It's really, really, really quick, and I think these last, a fair amount of time here anyway, so we're going to be making tons of power if we can get this set up. Oh dear. A bit of time later, and I have made the Stone of Aura. I did this all by hand because it was just easier and you only have to make one of each. I think this is pretty fun. I like that you can just condense the V crystals. Yeah, it's a little bit of a faff, but I think it was worth it just for, I don't know, I just kind of like it. We need 52 16,384 kMe storage components, which requires a lot of crushed quartz. Way too much crushed quartz, in fact. It's lucky that we've had all the processes passived for so long, because it takes so many. This is definitely going to take a long time. So I'm actually now in the past, and the reason for that is I encountered some sort of terrible bug. And I hope this is a good enough backup because I would rather not go back another hour. Okay, it's not on this. Phew. So my problem was actually I had started crafting the ME controllers, the Inner Sky Stone, and I wanted to speed up the grinding of the quartz by adding some more pulverizers. So first I cancelled it once so that I could add a different 2 recipes for quartz to the interface. And then I cancelled it for a second time so I could just add a bunch of pulverizers and export some quartz to it to try and get a lot of quartz dust before I started. For some reason, the second time I cancelled it, it got stuck in the crafting screen and I couldn't get rid of it. And that was the big problem because that meant I couldn't take out or put anything back into the ME terminal at all. It was completely broken. And I re-logged the world, I re-logged the client, and even the computer, nothing worked. Of course there's one of those down here. Okay, there's 2 of those and I don't have any weapons anyway, ignore them. Then I thought, okay, I'll break this wire and see if that helps. Didn't help, so I thought I'd break the crafting CPU. That crashed the game. I re-logged the same world. This wasn't broken. I tried to break the glass to get into the crafting CPU. That crashed the game. So don't know what happened. I don't have any crash logs to ask it device on because I just force quit with Task Manager. So we're not too far behind. We've still got the living gold set up. We are just doing the essences over here, which is evidently quite nearly done, so that's fine. But yes, very, very strange. However, now that I've gone back in time and have some catching up to do, I think it's probably a good time to wrap up the episode. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. It wasn't the ME controllers that crashed the game. It was trying to make these storage components. It was just too big. Obviously, cancelling it a few times was a bad idea.